Well, welcome, Divine Ones. Judging by the comments, you guys love those intros. I am grateful that I'm able to come to you tonight. We have part 7 of our ongoing series with our Divine family here at Americans in Action, which I'll bring in just a moment. First and foremost, I wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you for being here tonight with us, as always. We love you. We are grateful for each and every one of your beautiful souls. We really, truly are. The last couple nights over at the Sovereign Redneck Renegade on Telegram, we've had some pretty amazing shows that I've done over there. I've dropped some bombs. You know what? We have some interesting days ahead of us. We have to remember God is in charge and we'll be fine. We've been the plan the whole time. We've been the plan the whole time. So don't ever forget your worth. Don't ever forget your value. You are divine sons and daughters of the Most High King. You have significant value. You are divine in every possible way. Your DNA comes from a divine king. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget that. I want to say thank you to our moderators who are here tonight. Cookie, Kathy, thank you so much, ladies. I want to say thank you to Shelly, CB's daughter, and Samantha, Sam, as well. Thank you for being here and helping us out tonight, as always. We appreciate and we love you, divine women, as always. So tonight, it'll be an action-packed night tonight, as always, with the team at Americans in Action. All right. We've also got Cohen joining us, but we also have another lady that's going to be joining us. Debbie is a friend and a partner of mine as well in True Sovereignty. And I'm not sure if she's maybe having some connectivity issues. We'll see if we can get her in here one way or the other. So anyways, without further ado, we'll bring in Cohen here to join us. There's one.
Hi.
How you doing, Cohen?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, as always, brother. All right, so let's bring in the team from Americans in Action. We have the magnificent Ananda. How you doing, Divine One?
Hey, hi, Mel. Hi, Cohen.
How's it going?
Really well, really well. Excited for tonight.
I like the hat.
Thank you so much. I like your gentlemen's hats. Very nice.
Absolutely. Let's bring in Jay. Shalom, brother.
Hello.
I love it. I love the symbol. Thank you. That's beautiful. And last but definitely not least, the divine Christo. Good evening, brother. How are you?
Good evening. Good evening to everyone here. How beautiful, how wonderful for the celebration of these great souls coming together on the panel, our host, and in the audience. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate taking time out of your busy life to once again experience what all of us bring. Hopefully will improve and expand your love and life and everything that we do. God bless us all.
Thank you. Oh, we need this. Now, today here in Missouri, we've been having lots of internet connectivity issues. So I'm letting you guys know ahead of time because we've had a lot of rain, torrential rain here. It's just a freak thing. It was 80 degrees yesterday, and now today it's freezing, not quite freezing, but 43 degrees, and torrential rains off and on throughout the day today. So we may have some internet connectivity issues, but I don't think you guys will have. I think you guys are fine on your end as well.
Yeah, seems pretty
So
good.
everybody is saying hello in the comments area. Good, good, excellent. Well, so here we are. We're towards the end of the month. We have 6 days left, 5 days left technically. At the end of the month itself, we got some exciting events ahead of us. So we're hearing, you know, so I'm interested in some of your guys' thoughts as to in the next week, week and a half, what you think, what you feel, what's impressed upon your heart that we might be seeing. I mean, everybody knows my thoughts. I still maintain the fact that I will strongly believe that we're not going to see the midterms come to pass, that something will interrupt it, or a few somethings may interrupt that nonetheless. So anyways, Debbie's trying to join in with us, so I'll work on that. But you guys, let us know what's upon your heart and what's going on in your heads and stuff like that. You guys are with each other every single day, Christos and team. And so I'm interested to hear what your guys' thoughts and feelings are in regards to this next few days that are coming.
Well, for me personally, I will say that I know that it was said even in the Bible that when things look tremendously hopeless, when things look like things are just going to go away and the worst will happen, is when God really comes. And I feel that if anything is going to take place, because we have to understand that things change moment to moment. Right now, certain things may be scheduled to go on, and 2 days from now, that's completely gone or has changed into something else. Mm-hmm. What really and who really is in charge of this, because God gave us free will, is our consciousness as humanity. And when the humanity, at least 1/3 of us, is in love, things change for the better. And if we succumb to the fear, things don't go as well with that, because fear being the opposite of love. So I always, in maintaining being in the kingdom of heaven, always maintain that love space. And we were discussing this in an earlier Zoom that we had today. And it's really important to have realization that when we speak of living in the private, when we speak of being in the kingdom of heaven, it needs to be a cognitive experience, cognition, meaning an emotional experience from any occurrence or text or communication. Everything is energy, and motion, energy and motion. When energy is moving in the system, it is emotion. And how you really allow emotion is to sit and feel it as opposed to perform it. And so with that, we can change things from happening in the grace of God. We also say that, we talk about standing, and we also say that to stand is a whole different experience than what it used to be, where we used to hire bar attorneys, where we used to hire doctors, even we used to hire all these people to do stuff that we need to do ourselves. And when we stand and as a solo people, we're not alone. We're right next to our Father. And that's why when you do anything in regards to bringing the truth out, especially in the trust law that we have spoken of, you remain in the kingdom of heaven, in the consciousness of it. So you're in love with self, being in love with self, because God loves us. We're one with our Father. And so in that, what happens is the kingdom of heaven is a light consciousness, and it goes out into the room. It goes out into the space, and people can change being in the presence of each and every one of us if we remain in the light. And it takes a little bit to get there because we often go into fear of this, fear of that, fear of this. When you're in fear, if you are in your heart, fear doesn't exist here. It only exists from here. And so intellect, don't forget, it's full of thoughts. Thoughts are physical, and it blocks God. It blocks love. And so when you open your heart up and to the experience of whatever energy is there, you're inviting God in. I mean, you are just going, my Father, I love you so much. We are one. Can you imagine standing in court where you're one with your Father? Because that's what trust law is. And in trust law, coming from the Bible, he was showing us how to stand. It's all over the Bible. Someone said, I forget the Bible. Hey, this is a law book. Well, pretty close to the truth because it teaches us how to stand. And they, the Bible's been there how long, And so, and anyway, with all that, if we learn to be in that love space, no matter what's going on the outside, then on the inside, I know for me, that's where I find my God. That's where I find the Father. My Father is inside. And that permeates outside.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's for me. How about you, Jay, Cohen, Ananda?
Well, for me, what's happening presently is I'm doing my best to sit back and enjoy the ride and just observe, because everything could happen and change in any moment, right? There's a lot of people saying this is supposed to happen, this is supposed to happen, and this, that. So we've all heard the expression, you take everything with a grain of salt. Well, I take a whole bag of salt because I will not, until we see it happening, then it's all just could be propaganda. It could be psyop. It could be anything. All I know is, like with what Christo was saying, I stayed true here, and I stayed true to in Hebrew, what they would say, the derech, your path, and allowed that path to guide me. And as long as we're staying aligned to kingdom of heaven, then we can be the eye in the storm. And it takes discipline and practice. And I would be the first to tell you, I have to practice it every day. And Christo and the rest of American Action keeps me in check. Believe you me. So it's a blessing to have a spiritual family like this to help us with that along the journey. But as I do feel like in the practical sense or in an integrated sense that we will see some dramatic shifts exposed in mainstream. Truth is already coming out in documentaries like The Real Fauci and all these other things that we're seeing come out. Whether they have to disclose it, whether it's part of a psyop, it's irrelevant, because the truth is coming out and permeating it. And as long as we stay here and we resonate to the truth, we'll see it unfold and be that eye in the storm, and then we'll come out into the new earth. So that's why it's an exciting time for me, at least. So
just to reiterate what you just said, Jay, is that and maybe a lot of the people know it already, but in New York, the court system has denounced the mandatory vaccine for city workers, and that was a huge success for New York. Don't forget New York. Who owns New York? UN. So that was a huge success in enemy territory, so to speak. And the other great thing that has happened, and this is all because of us meaning everyone that's on here and all of the people that are allowing God into their life, all of us, millions of us in Texas. They also in Texas, they also did something great today. What was it? I'll remember in a minute.
Yeah. Was it the schools, the children, or something?
That's right. The Supreme Court of Texas denounced and shot away that children are to be vaccinated. Children at 5 years old, 5 to 11, that no longer exists in Texas. It's gone. Yay.
Yay.
Beautiful. Thank you, Father.
That's a celebration. Yeah, I am one who believes that we peace our way to peace, and we don't fight our way to peace. So there's a lot of patriots in the patriot movement. I love patriots because patriots love to stand. But in the patriot movement, we hear a lot of this: fight for your rights, fight for your rights. We had a great conversation earlier before we went on the camera. And I think, Jay, you were the one who brought it to the table about if you fight for your rights, you're actually in agreement with the thought or the concept that that's something that can be taken from you. And when we talk about unalienable rights, these are our God rights. These are what we were born with. So with those, we don't fight for our rights. We stand. And when we say stand, it's about standing in your knowing. When you're in your knowing, you're standing with God, Creator, love, truth. When you're in that, you can't get knocked off your center. And everything to do in the Babylonian world has to do with controversy and the other. In the language of God, there is no other. It's the great I am. I and my Father are one. And the reality of God is we are one. And remember, it's united we stand. It's not united we fight. So as we stand in our knowing together, united in God, love, we got this. We got this. And I love what Christo said, that, fear is the opposite of love. So when we're in anger being a cover emotion, underneath that, if we rage it out by chopping wood or punching a punching bag, or however our process is, for me, I do writing, creative writing to get it out. Once we uncover that lid called anger, and we get to the deeper emotions of the betrayal after trust and the sorrow, the deep sorrow, we are in a mourning because we've been lied to from the time we were children, and our parents before us and their parents before them. So if you're not angry, you better double check yourself, right? But the key is to not act out on it, and don't jump in the game. I mean, you can be aware of the game and you can jump into the game consciously to the degree that you want. But I like what Jay said, like he's just gonna watch and because we can be observers of what is. And then as we stay in our lane and we uphold the kingdom of heaven here on earth by standing peacefully, we create the kingdom of heaven. And then the game ends, because if someone picks a fight with you and you don't fight back, there's no game. It's not game on. So the key is to stay in your lane. And if one of the collective narcissists goes out of their lane and comes into your lane to harass you, it's like they're going out of their way to disturb the peace. So if you find yourself in that situation, just do everything that you can to go to the side of the mountain, to maintain, to not engage, phone a friend, whatever you can do. But I'm just really doing a lot of inner work and just creating that peaceful environment and communing with people that are also peacefully minded, which creates more peace.
That's lovely.
That's beautiful.
Well, I've had to switch from my laptop to my phone, so I'm on Redneck Internet now. So,
hey, if there's a will, there's a way, and sometimes there's some hiccups along the way, and I love that. That's the can-do, solution-minded attitude, and that feels like living in God's law to me.
Yep, just a little bit of redneck or a little bit of duct tape, and duct tape solves everything. I'm just kidding. I don't have any duct tape that I'm using right now, but that's a redneck joke. So,
The solution did present itself.
What's that, Cohen?
I said the solution did present itself right there.
Yep, that's right. There you
Here
go.
you are.
The solution is duct tape. Listen all, I got one thing to say here. America's colors, red, white, and blue. I commit this to memory if I were you. For when you see red, white, and blue and gold, it's a message to you that you've been sold. Down the river, that is. Have you figured out yet that you're a slave? It happened when your mama accidentally gave your life away in the birthing ward that day. An informant came in and gave her a slip while she was on drugs, epidural drip. And this was sadly when your status was changed. Your slave owners are deranged. So here we are now in the same slave boat. Please help each other to stay afloat while we unlearn the lies that we were told when we were sold. Please try to have compassion along the way, for we were all lied to just the same, and we're at different stages on the path. So please stand with me and take a vow and reclaim your freedom, help each other somehow. I know it's not easy, but it's what we must do. There's a lot for me to cover in this little song. I'll give you the meat and potatoes, it won't take long. I'll hold your hair while you vomit through the shock. As the cognitive dissonance wears off, you'll be targeted with hatred, gossip, and scoff, but stay in your lane and hold the light of truth. For we're giving you the tools here today so you can correct your status and be on your way and never again be caught up in their web. I hope one day you'll decide to be free. Then you can join in the jubilee as we welcome one another hand in hand. Thank you to all the free and the brave for America and the lives you gave, ensuring all God's children would be free. Freedom belongs to the world, and I am just an American girl who stands for freedom for you and me.
Wow. That was great.
Yeah.
Love it. That was thank you for blessing us with that, Ananda. That was great.
Yeah.
Oh, you have we've got to post that. I mean, that is some great lyrics. That is a great song. We've got to do something with that. I mean, I'm just looking at all the comments and everybody got them rolling. They loved it.
Give me a guitar. Come on now. We need a banjo.
Give
The
my
washing
guitar.
board. Yeah.
Oh, you're redneckified now.
We'll go rednecking later.
There we go. Oh, well, I'll tell you. I know Ananda and I talked earlier this morning, and we had a great conversation like we always do. And I felt impressed in this show that I wanted to make sure that in this show that which she's already masterfully done with that little ditty right there, she's helped instill, love, not just love, but peace, and she replaced any anxiety and fear that somebody may have. And they were able to escape that for just a moment in time with that. And so that was amazing. And this is what I want us to be able to do, you guys. But I got to do the shameless plug. So November 12th and 13th, for those that are watching this, we have an online webinar. Americans in Action is putting on an online webinar on the 12th and 13th. And if one of you want to talk about it, what you guys are going to do, because normally you guys do seminars. So I'm not sure everything that you're going to be doing in the webinar versus the seminar itself. So if one of you want to take this time to actually talk about this upcoming event, that would be great.
Hey, I want to go to that. How do I sign up?
Well, I don't know.
Actually, Stevie's daughter just posted it in the comments. There's a link right there. I think that's it.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, these moderators are sharp. I would be lost without these moderators.
They're amazing.
They are.
So the Jacksonville, Oregon event will be live so for folks who want to attend live in the body, they can. I'm trying not to use the word person as much anymore because I would say in person, but they can attend live, living, and it will be also streamed. So folks who want to attend the class, the weekend course through the live stream, we're going to have that option available for folks as well. So super exciting. And you can go to, I think, ML's Telegram and see one of the flyers for Jacksonville, Oregon. And our tech team is going to be putting up the flyer on our website within the next 24 hours. So you can actually go to americansinaction.info and click on it. And then you can find out more about the weekend and what the syllabus will be. And then also, pricing and anything else. If you need to contact one of us, you can to find out more details if you need to get a hotel in the area or something like that. So
great.
Exciting.
Yeah,
Exciting.
I'm excited. I'm really excited. Thank you.
Yeah, so don't let, if you don't feel comfortable traveling, don't let that stop you from coming and joining in, because it's going to be amazing.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of options for people.
In that, we also cover, of course, the spiritual aspect of this whole process, this whole livingness that we're experiencing here. And I just want to say it again, if I said it in previous events here, that to enter into the kingdom of heaven is more than just going to church, more than just praying, more than doing anything at all. It's actually an energetic experience that one needs to open up to. And you actually transcend all the pain. You actually transcend all the separateness. You transcend all the darkness. And you arrive really in a different awareness and consciousness that once that you arrive, you have no doubt where you are at. And life is actually very, very different because the words disappear and you're in existence of here and now. And everything is so amazingly lovely. You know that you are in the kingdom of heaven. And how you do that is you start paying attention to when you're talking with someone, when you're eating, when you're doing the dishes, when you're dealing with the kids, when you're working, doesn't matter what you're doing, start paying attention to the energy. Like I'm looking at Cohen right now, but I'm not looking directly at his face. I'm looking around his head, his shoulders, his hair. And so in that, I begin to open up the reality of energy, the reality of different colors that emanate from whatever is going on with the person. In association with that, I become very sensitive to myself, because to be sensitive to others, you need to be sensitive to the self first. Sensitivity, because of we glib over so many emotions throughout the day. For most of us, it's thousands of emotions daily that we glib over and don't pay attention to. And guess what? You're missing your life as it was meant to be, as God the Father has bestowed upon us. Life as we're experiencing now for most of us is in an abnormal state. As I mentioned before, we're in this craziness now because we have forsaken God. And what does that mean? That means to be super conscious of everything that's going on wherever you are. And in super conscious, you are opening the heart to allow the energies to flow. That's the definition of life itself. To movement. Movement is life. When you have no energy stuck, that's death. When you're feeling good, there's energies moving all through the body, or I should say bodies. That's a whole other workshop. And so with that, one should be conscious of allowing change in your life of how you view, observe, and do things in your life. In actual fact, here and how we have been trained is we're separate from what we do. We're separate from who we speak with. And the whole idea is, and the truth is that we are one. The truth is we coexist. In coexistence, this is where the fun begins. I mean, I remember the first time I coexisted with a tree. Oh my God. You know what happened? I felt it was like boom, 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 boom. It was the liquids going through the tree, and I was feeling that as the tree. When the wind on my leaves, it was like an orgasmic experience. Orgasmic meaning full body experience of energies running through it. Phenomenal. When you're separate from your doing, the separation is actually painful. And you're in the kingdom of heaven, you're not separate from anything you're doing. You coexist. So it is an amazing experience to allow the transcendence to happen. And then in that transcendence, in the kingdom of heaven, everything you do is sacred because you're with your Father consciously. And you actually transcend the thinking mind. And guess what happens with that? Time ceases to exist. And you could be traveling on an 8-hour trip and it takes you 10 minutes because time ceases to exist. And so time and memory is from the mind. Without the mind, the thinking mind, you have no memory. That's why when you're in present time, or the place where time doesn't exist, because time is the greatest illusion, in that area is where the kingdom of heaven lies.
Yeah.
There it is, right? And so we should always have aspirations and realizations. Okay, I have to allow my life to change dramatically because I'm going to live in the kingdom of heaven. When you're in that, and let's say you're in a court situation, whether you're in person there or you are administratively, you remain in the kingdom of heaven and you can feel it. You are one with your Father. God consciousness, God is right here, and there's nothing that can move you from it. This is when trust law, this is when standing, no one can take you off that, and you will be victorious no matter what Goliath is around. You will be victorious because you don't even pay attention to what they are doing because they're in a whole different fictitious consciousness. I am in the kingdom of heaven. And because I'm rooted in the kingdom of heaven, and all of us start to be rooted in the kingdom of heaven, guess what changes? Planet Earth. Back to God the Father, his beautiful planet, as it was meant to be and how it was in the very beginning.
Yes.
God bless us all.
Wow.
So
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What do you think about that, Cohen?
I think that's spot on. I've been the last couple of days and weeks. One of the conversations Emil and I had last week, we were talking about this, how just so much of the narrative of what will be presented to us as reality from the outside world is just full of artificial intelligence. Artificial meaning not intelligence. There's no reality to it. It's all fake and fictitious. And so I'm reminded of the parable that Yeshua talked about, where the kingdom of heaven is like a field, where a man found buried treasure within the field, and with his joy, he put the treasure back in the ground and went and bought the field, and had great joy in his heart knowing that treasure was there. Well, in order for that to happen, there's this dynamic of being outside of a timeline. You know, we think in terms of multiple timelines. We are outside of time. That's an illusion, as you just pointed out, Christo. And when we know the end of the story, then it becomes this beautiful adventure as we exist in the now space of how will this unravel, and what kind of adventure do I get to participate in? Because at the end of the day, the treasure in the field is mine. I have the kingdom.
That's right.
That's all. And that was one of the beautiful elements of the RV Nasara Jasara, is that there was this feeling of immeasurable joy, because at the end of the day, there's going to be abundance. And that is a very important feeling to have. If that feeling is created in our experience by placing our hope in something outside of our control, though, this is what a sophisticated AI exploitation program will use to present what's called false hope. Okay, again, not hope. Whenever you have that prerequisite in language, right? False means it's not hope. And so if our foundation is on the false hope, then that opens us up for a disappointment being pulled into the artificial illusion of time. I haven't had my ship come in yet. It hasn't happened yet. I'm still waiting. And in that process of waiting, there's this belief that we're not there yet, which ties us into this restriction that suddenly time becomes our barrier rather than the non-existent non-player that it is. And so one of the things that I've been really just playing with is I have a lot of unread messages on Telegram. I have a lot of unread news articles, and I've been in this state of like celebration. Right, I've started just discovering the power of my own voice and being able to express that, kind of like Ananda did earlier with singing that song. Just the pleasure of being right present in the moment, expressing our joy and our pleasure and our wonder, almost like a child, right? In order to enter into the kingdom of God, you have to become like a child. You've never seen a child worried about what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone like in 10 minutes. You know, he's just right there, right in the moment, playing with whatever is beautiful and fascinating and interesting. And it's that type of place. It suddenly brings the abundance that we would attribute to the concept of the RV, Nasara, Jasara, or whatever else gives you goosebumps, right? If we can allow that false hope idea to disintegrate into the illusion of the time that's not there, and be able to anchor into the present moment of what is fascinating, we start to realize that the very solution that we have been looking for, maybe fighting for in times of our life, we have it right there in our hand. It was the very thing that was right there present in our face, and we just were so busy looking for it that we didn't see it. Have you ever done that before, looking for your sunglasses on the top of your head? This is kind of the feeling that I've been experiencing over the last couple of weeks is, oh my gosh, when I stopped looking for it and I just started playing, I realized all the stuff that I'd been hoping for and wanting for and feeling like I was in lack of was right in my hands all along. I don't know. Am I the only one feeling this way?
No, it's absolutely
No.
true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, very good on that. Let me ask you a question. If two people are looking at the same object or the same film, are there going to be two different points of view on what that film was or that object was? The answer to that is most of the time it's absolutely true. Only if two or more people are in the kingdom of heaven do they experience the truth. And then it is one. All of every person, people around, if they're not in the kingdom of heaven, they're separate entities. They are separate, and we're separate from each other. And so when you surrender and you allow the energies to flow, in that surrender, we become one. And it's an amazing experience to allow it to happen. It's called the becoming. And Jesus talked about that. And so we have to realize, in order for miracles to happen, you have to be in the kingdom of heaven. Then miracles happen almost every day. And I'm talking about huge things. And so for that, when enough conscious people are in the kingdom of heaven, the miracles that happen can shift a whole planet. That's what's taking place here and now today. Yeah. Even with those two things that we said in New York and Texas, these are really teasers of what's ahead, because we're going to have a lot of that stuff coming about where there's all tyranny and this and that and darkness, and the light's going to go, and that's going to lead to a supernova. And the supernova on this planet is when the entire darkness is dismissed and gone. And this is once again God's planet. And that's what we are so very important. And when I say we, I mean all of us here tonight, all the people in the audience here, and any other people that has the consciousness of I love God and I am here to really live in the kingdom of heaven and have the new republic rise once again into existence. So we are beneficiaries of God's grace in that natural law. So be it.
So be it.
So be it. And so it is done. And that is my feeling. I love, you said that so beautifully. And that is my feeling with Jacera Nacera and claiming the minor estate. And what people think when they hear about this, they think, oh, it's an action. They're going to go and they're going to claim their minor estate. They're going to put their flag into the land and they're going to claim their minor estate. And I think it's more of a becoming. This is how my feeling on it. It's more of a becoming. And then you come to a realization that I already am. I already am.
Hey, Jay, what does it mean to claim your, for the audience, just in case, what does it mean to claim your minor estate?
Well, it's in reference to the Cystic UV Trust on one level, but it's also on a spiritual level. It's to remember who you are, because you are your estate. You're the beneficiary of that state, because the Cystic UV Trust in the third dimensional construct of Babylon can't exist without you in the physical body using your energy, because currency is energy and they establish currency with that trust. But you are the most valuable commodity, literally commodity, for currency to exist, for that Cystic UV Trust to exist. So they need your energy.
As long as you volunteer, right, Jay?
As long as you volunteer. Now, having said all that, when you change your status or whatever, you're not even really changing your status. You are reminding them or debunking their assumption that you are a slave or that they can use your energy to create currency. You're basically putting it on the record that you are a sovereign living being, a child, son, daughter of God, one with Creator. And when you know who you are, technically you've reclaimed, and minor estate goes back to mining, and then not of the majority age, and it goes into banking and stuff like that. However, when you return to knowing who you are, then by definition you've reclaimed your self-sovereignty. You are a trust. That's why Yeshua ben Yosef says, I and my Father are one. That's a merger of a trust where he became whole with the grantor, and now a trust collapsed because now they're whole again, and now you've returned to kingdom of heaven, and now you have inherited the land, the air, the water of which you were granted to by your creator, and now you live freely only to launch to a higher consciousness. And that looks like in the physical certain types of things when you're leaving Babylon, how to live in that consciousness in administratively and so on and so forth. So it all comes together. It just, but it all, the number one common denominator or theme line is you remember who you are and you return to who you are. And now it's unlimited.
Ananda, why do they call it a minor estate?
Well, the minor estate, as I understand it, is when you're a minor, you have to have either a custodian or a parent. So when you awaken as an adult, if you will, and we can become adults at any point in our lives, and some people can live their whole lives and never come into that maturity of knowing, of seeking God. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be open unto you. As we seek God, we are given gifts. As we seek truth, we are granted truth. Seek and ye shall find. So as we do that, we're seeking. Once we realize through an act of surrender, which actually is one of the trust applications, is surrender. We do these applications in practical application in third dimensional realm through document writing and whatnot. And what happens is we're no longer a minor, meaning we no longer understand. We don't need a custodian. We don't need to hire an attorney to speak for us, because we realize if we hire someone to represent us, we're not present. And so as we recognize our royal heritage, if you will, our connection, our union with Creator, we come back and we claim our minor estate, meaning I'm not a minor anymore. I'm not under you. I'm not a child anymore. I've developed myself enough spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and otherwise, right? I've developed myself enough that now I can come back and claim my minor estate. When you were a minor, you didn't know. And then when you come into your maturity, you know. It's the difference between being in the dark without information, and then you shed light on a topic, you become enlightened in that area. So now we become enlightened, if you will, to whatever degree that we are, right? We're all at different stages on the path. Then we come back, we claim our minor estate. An estate, if you look it up, I think it's Black's Law, it means to rent from a landlord. So I no longer refer to my home as an estate, because it's my property. It's not an estate where I need to rent back to a lord, a superior, where I'm subject to and I have to bow down. God granted us dominion over the land, the air, and the water. And originally, land was to be granted, not bought and sold. So remember, there's a difference between real estate and private property. So we start correcting our language. It feels like putting the cart before the horse a little bit, which is okay, because we can fake it till we make it. And as we start learning our new language, we're going to be uncomfortable and go through our growing pains, but we are literally claiming our minor estates by doing this. We act as if we put our trust in God, in our inner knowing. And then we have the courage to walk through these doors. And your instinct is recognized in the law. So if you get an instinct that says, something doesn't feel right, I don't think I should send this document, or maybe just not send it today. There's timing for everything. Sometimes a document you'll send off, it will pass through the wrong hands and land on the wrong desk. And then you pull in some jerk who's got a vendetta, right? And trust that instinct. When you're at the post office, somebody's being a pill and they don't want to help you, maybe go to another post office, go to the next window where someone's more friendly. Because we can flow through life. I call it lawful Aikido. But as we do this through practical application, we are claiming our minor estate. We're acting as beneficiaries, which is the proper position in the case of the Cystic UV Trust, or some people call it the Public Charitable Trust. You are the beneficiary of that. You certainly don't want to confuse yourself with the trustee, because then you could end up getting into some trouble if you were to accidentally say the wrong thing in a courtroom, which we never recommend to go into in the first place. So that's like Satan's den, and we're children of God. We have no business in there. So handle everything administratively. And if you need help, we do consulting and things like that. And anyway, learn as much as you can and do the best as you can. And if you make a mistake, mistakes are recognized in the law as well. So forgive yourself, brush yourself off, apologize. I made a mistake. I'm so sorry. This is what I meant to say.
All right. Thank you, Ananda. I want to have a little fun if any participants want to participate. If the judge comes to you and asks you, who are you? How will you answer? Put it on the chat line. For as many people that want to do this, start typing away. The judge is going to say, who are you? What is your answer? Can't wait to see what you put down.
By the way, while those people are doing that, just so you know, minor also in legal terms is defined as incompetent. So if they look at you as a minor, they're going to consider you to be incompetent. When you come of the age of majority, synonymously to standing, and you know who you are, just like what Christo was just having you type in, now you're inner standing as opposed to understanding, because now you've come of age of majority, and now you're competent and you can stand upon your rights from within.
I love it. And they will deem you to be incompetent until you come back and claim your minor estate. So there is a bit of action in that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a moment where you say it out loud. It could just be a beingness or a transformation within you. But these are great answers. Look at this. Child of God. I'm a living, breathing soul.
Child of God. We have an educated audience. I'm a living.
Lots of children of God. I love it.
Monica put question mark. Okay, Monica, read everybody's answer. Okay. That's awesome. Everyone, so beautiful. Yes, yes, yes. Now, Betty put, I'm the beneficiary of my straw man. Pretty good.
Yeah, I would recommend for that one. That's really good because she knows who she is. But I would maybe stop at beneficiary. Sometimes when we use the word straw man, it's kind of a slang, if you will. And as a friend of the court, we don't want to bring up the bile in the judge's throat. And sometimes they hear terms like that and they get that bile that comes up in their throat.
The most beautiful child of God. As a matter of fact, we have one people that we are helping, and this happened a while back, and we were educating her on how to stand and this and that. And she wanted to go into the courtroom herself. She just wanted, that was a choice of hers, even though we recommended handling it administratively. And as she was there, she screwed the whole thing up. And in screwing it up, she just didn't know, putting things together. She was nervous, this and that. And then the judge just said, okay, listen, who are you? And she said, I am a child of God. Case dismissed. Because all of a sudden, it was like substance over form. Her form was a mess, but her substance, she was there. With all the crazy was going on, she remained in that. And when she answered that, the judge hesitated, but then he just dismissed the case. And that's proof of the pudding that there's substance always is supreme over any kind of documents at all. That's why I say to you, and I urge everyone to make sure that you're in the kingdom of heaven. Whenever you do any kind of documents, you're dealing with any kind of cases in the court system, you remain in heaven along with the information of trust law. You are going to come out top. There's no doubt about it. Like I said, of all the cases we're doing, we're 100% right now. So that is an amazing experience to get that down. And there she is, the one and only Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
Hey, there she is.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
So great to see you. How are you?
Hi, everybody.
A face with a
fine.
voice.
It's been a heck of a time to try to get in there, but I made it.
You're here.
I made it.
Well, you came
Good
in
for
right
you.
at the right point too.
Well, okay. I
Well,
He's saying,
I
what does
always
that
do.
mean?
well, we had a great conversation yesterday and today with this gentleman that had contacted you, Debbie, and then you reached out to Team Americans in Action for their counsel and their wisdom to help this guy out.
Yeah,
And this is kind of what we were talking about a little bit here is, there are people that are attending other workshops from other individuals in this movement. And I think people are being given great information, but I think there's additional information that's confusing some of these people, obviously, as well. And what we talked about earlier today, and I talked with Ananda about this as well, I think it's important that people need to know that when you are going down this pathway, and there's obviously different ways to journey down this path, right? Be very, very careful in what you do and how you do it, because the last thing you want to do is get yourself caught up in some problems that snowballs and may cost you properties and other things of that nature as well, because you were given counsel that wasn't sound counsel. And this is one of the reasons why I love this team. I was talking to somebody about this the other night. They're like, why do you guys, ML, why are you sticking your neck out, for this team, and I said to him, I said, it's really simple. I said, I've experienced enough individuals now over the last 7 or 8 months who are in this movement, who are going through this process. And as they have went through other people's programs, they've been left to their own accord. They've had no guidance. They're lost. They're floundering, and they feel like they're drowning. This family is helping individuals and doesn't lead them to just wander in the wilderness blindly, not knowing what's going on, what they need to do. And they have compassion, and they're not egocentric. They're not driven by ego. And I said, there's a myriad of reasons why I've aligned with them. Not to which that the most important is God brought us together. And when God, the Spirit, guides you, then you better listen to that, and you better just go with it. Or, it's been my experience, when you don't follow the promptings of the Spirit, you tend to miss out on amazing blessings.
Mm.
So, but that's why, Debbie, I wanted you to come on here tonight, and you've had some really interesting experiences yourself as you've been in this movement too. You seem to be the conduit where people are just reaching out.
I put my phone number out there, and you know what happens. I get the phone calls, and some of them, they're kind of strange. And then other ones, it's like, don't do anything until I make a phone call. Please don't send that letter out. Please don't do it. And Jason and Ananda, I talked to you about it, and you know what I'm talking about with real estate. So if you want to get into that, that would be great, because I finally got the right website to you. But even though they're helping and they become the trustee, I still don't like that.
Who doesn't like what?
Well, and I spoke with the gentleman.
Oh, you did?
You want to comment first? Yeah, I spoke to him today.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. It's a situation where it's uncharted territory. And so I think people, as they're getting comfortable in their beneficiary position, they're trying new things. And I think there may be some trial and error. There may be some falling on the face. There may be needing to start and then go back to the drawing board and redirect. I think that it's a choice, and it's not something I really want to promote on a public platform because it sounds untested at this point. So until we get something that is bona fide, and people are having lots of wins, and then they can prove that they've been having wins using their systems, then I'll feel more confident to share what those processes are. I don't want to share processes that are just being tried, because why send people out to set themselves up for possible, God only knows what, you know what I mean? But there's going to be some that are real crusaders that really put themselves out there and try new things, and it could open doors for a lot of people. So I'm not going to knock it 100%, but I certainly can't back up what he's doing 100% either. You know what I mean?
Here's an axiom that's really fail-safe.
What is that?
Anytime you're dealing with any fraud, criminality, anything in the court system, here is a solid axiom. If you, in any of your communication, defend yourself, you will lose. Because defense in the court system is set up that the natural thing to do is, if you're accused of something and it's fraudulent, is to defend yourself. Once you do, you're done. They're going to railroad you to a predetermined outcome. So the whole idea is, like Ananda was saying, is surrender, repent, and you remain humble, not knowing anything. Come as a friend of the court. You're not an enemy of the state. You must state that, because don't forget, Title 50 in the 40s, they passed an act or a treaty or a law or something stating that every American citizen is an enemy of the state. And so that's why when you go into court and this and that, they declare you guilty until you prove yourself innocent. But you don't want to have to prove yourself at all. You already are. And so to stand, as you're in the kingdom of heaven, within the inside of you, and I'm a friend of the court, I'm not an enemy of the state. I think there's been an attack on the trust. You're the trustee, I'm the beneficiary. Would you please handle this? Vet the situation. If you find it to be accurate, then handle it. And thank you so much for being a wonderful trustee. God bless. Bye-bye. And that's all there is to it, really. And in doing that, you're not defending anything. You actually make the trustee, loosely stated, on the side of the beneficiary, which is you. So now he's doing his work of what he's supposed to do, and you benefit from it. So be it.
So be it. So be it. And then when you're outside of the court, in certain situations, you might be able to find a trustee or appoint a trustee, depending on the situation. And so in the situation that Debbie brought, it sounds like the gentleman has found a trustee to act for him for a purchase. And so I'm not sure if that's how that's going to go, but I guess we can wait and find out. And then we'll keep you posted as we hear how that goes.
Well, I just want to make sure that all the paperwork would be done right, because I trust you, everyone there, to take a look at it before anyone would be making, doing a step like that, because that's a major step, that you're putting the trust in someone else. So
That's true. That's true. And you could, gosh, if you don't know what you're doing, you could really get into some trouble. So I wouldn't
Right.
mind. I wouldn't mind looking at the paperwork, because if there's some red flags, our team will be able to sniff them out in 2 seconds.
That's why I feel as if you needed to get a hold of him and make sure it's done right, because you guys don't lose. You do it right.
Aw.
Well-
That's when you have God on your side.
Well,
That
that's true.
Hey, listen, there's an
In the
important
truest
statement
meaning.
here from Monica, and Jay and Ananda. You should take this. What would you all recommend for in a circumstance within the school system that is absolutely ignoring parental rights?
What
Best action.
public official surety bonds come into play there?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do. Now, one of the things you can do, but not limited to this, is I would look to take my child someplace else where I could be raising my child in an environment where there isn't suppression or repression or any type of influence that is denying my child's unalienable rights and me as a parent unalienable rights. Now, here's some caveats on that. When someone joins, I'm assuming it's a public school, when someone joins a public school, the fact that you enter into a public jurisdiction by definition, through agreement, unbeknownst to those who enter the public school, have now kind of, in their jurisdiction, surrendered the child's rights over to the public through volunteering to put them in the public school. So when you talk about parents' rights, you have to say, well, parent is one of their words. And you as a living woman have unalienable rights. But if one volunteers to put their child into a public setting that's under a jurisdiction of public, unfortunately, one gives up those rights. Now, you can look and see how to navigate within that public system where there are limitations. And without going into the details of your situation, because we haven't seen all the details, some certain pathways that one can do is, number one, look at the school's policies. Because when you go and you look at the school's policies, within those schools' policies, they're going to have innately in them certain language that will protect the children and protect the parents. Now, whatever policies that they're putting in, and this again has to go back to the language and we have to look at it, but whatever policies that they're putting in that are in violation of your parents' rights, well, that by definition would probably be in violation of their own school policies. And now you can start using specific language to see how to navigate within their system to show them where they're in violation. We've done this many, many times with several situations, including but not limited to when OSHA was trying to close down a lot of the small businesses a couple of years ago, and we helped them stay open, and not only stay open, but thrive. In addition to that, you can also look at public policies and see where their school policies are in contradiction to public policies, UCC titles, so on and so forth. In addition to that, you can also draft documents administratively. Some documents that you can draft are including but not limited to, and remember, all we're sharing is educational entertainment purposes. You must do your own due diligence, and we're here to help you guide. That's it. But one of the things that you can do is you can write affidavits. And when you write an affidavit, you write that affidavit to a specific recipient, okay? Not just to the school board. But if the school board has many people on the board, you can write affidavits to them. And then as ML was talking about, there are things called public bonds and surety bonds and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of different pathways that you as a living woman can choose. But again, it is your choice, and you want to choose your quote unquote battles wisely, and we can help. If it were me, and if I don't know what your situation is, if it were me, I would be removing my child from a public venue into the private.
Yeah, I like that a lot, Jay. And then I also like what you said about parents being one of their words. If you break down the word, even the sound of it, it's a pair who rents. It's a pair who rents back their children from the state. And how that happens, something called the doctrine of parens patriae, where the state claims to be the parents of the children, and they've claimed your child through when you signed, if you signed the birth certificate, because that's when they converted your living, breathing baby boy or baby girl. They took their Christian name or their family name and converted it into an all caps name, where they listed that as property, 6 pounds, 7 ounces, property that they put into the trust called the birth certificate. That birth certificate, whoever holds title, they are the owner. Not that there's any owners in trust, but technically they're the owner of the contents listed in the title. And the contents listed in the title is your baby boy or baby girl. So through the doctrine of parens patriae, they're claiming to be the parents of the children. So when you, as their true parent or mother or father, because parent's one of their words, when you come back and you claim your property, that's part of claiming your minor estate. When you claim your property, you're claiming the rights to your all caps name. You're claiming your body. They call it a vessel. They call it a container that holds liquid, a transmitting utility. They're naming the ship. That's a vessel. That's a shipping container for their financial transactions. It's disgusting what they've done. But if it were me, I would look into homeschooling options, and I would look into correcting my status. And then you claim your property, and your property is your offspring. Children is one of their words. Either that or they kidnap the word and then they use it meaning a different meaning that when we think of children. So you claim your property. First, you claim, secure your oxygen mask first, then secure help the ones around you. So your first thing, or if it were me, what I would do is I would correct my status. Then I would go in and claim my property. And that means my kid, my little daughter or little son, I would claim. And then when they get older, then you can teach them how to do it. And they're going to be way more empowered throughout their lives. Remember, public law is owned by a private corporation. So public schools are going to be going by the policy of that private law, that private public law. They call it public law, but it's actually owned by a private corporation called Unidroit, which is connected with the Vatican. And so it's their world. And when we're children of God, kingdom of heaven, we need to find the world where we're connecting more with like-minded, like-hearted, either through private school or homeschool. And I know it's not an easy choice because it's just not, but it's totally inconvenient. But you don't want them doing something to your kid and then they could have been prevented. So
Do-
do everything you
Other
can to protect your child.
other ideas is you can form a trust where you put your property in the trust, and that trust is your children, and then they don't have access to it. Just ideas for educational purposes to do your own diligence with. And then in addition to that, I was looking at some of your comments about there was no signature and stuff. That's a very valid point that you brought up there, Monica, is because they need your consent. So in as much as there's no signature, and again, we don't know what your specifics details are, but and you can reach out to us and maybe we can talk more in detail on a private forum. But in general, if there's no consent by you through your signature, then really it's coercion, and really it's a violation of even civil public law. So, and they can't even operate without the consent of you, whether they try to coerce you into consent, manipulate you into consent, and so on and so forth. So they need that signature to perpetuate currency. They need that signature to perpetuate an agenda. So but hopefully some of these ideas will steer you in a direction, but there is a remedy. ML, I think you're on mute, ML. ML, you're on mute.
Christo, you're muted. ML's muted.
Yeah, we're muted. ML and I were talking on the side. No,
It's a
just
good thing
kidding.
I didn't have any indigestion.
We're having a
going on or
sidebar.
something, so.
Debbie, did you get answered everything you wanted answered in this today?
Yes, you do an excellent job.
Okay, good. Excellent.
Well, wait a second. Debbie had something else. It had to do with
Social
Social
Security.
Security. Yeah. I mean, it's a good topic.
Okay, well,
You mean socialism security?
There you go.
That would be it. That would be it. Yeah,
that you volunteer to be a part of?
I really don't want to be involved in it, but I guess I'm at that magic age. So about a month ago, we got a phone call, and we were addressed with getting our final phone call that we were going to be signed up with Social Security, and they were telling us how much we were going to get a month, and for the fact that they would be taking out the Medicare that was X amount of dollars every month. And I said, hold on just a minute. So I called them back the next day, and I said, wait a minute, it's already been taken out of my checking account. Or if I just send it in normally, like I normally would do, why do I have to change what I'm doing? Well, that's our policy. Well, where's the policy? Tell me what the policy is. Well, there has been the legislature, the Senate passed this bill. I said, what bill? So then the gentleman said, well, you can call your Congress people. I'm not going to get into that, but this is what we do. It's a mandate. And I said, oh, it is. I said, okay. So I signed up, got a phone call. Well, it was supposed to be for November the 18th. Well, about a week ago, I received a phone call at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they said that they had expedited it up because they had several other things that they had to take care of, but they thought this was a priority. And I said, the question I have is, where does it state that I have to have it taken out, even though you say that there is a bill and it's mandatory? Show me where that paperwork is. Well, the gentleman didn't like it. He told me to call my senator's office, which it's Charles Grassley. So I proceeded to talk to the gentleman. He said that he really didn't want to talk to me anymore. There was many other people that was in his stack of papers, and that's the way it was, and I was going to get it taken out, or I wasn't going to get Social Security. Thank you very much. Hung up on me. And so I called Senator Grassley's office, and I asked them if they could possibly look into the matter. and get back with me within 6 months to a year. I'd like them to get back to me within a week or so, which that has not happened. And they said, well, we don't know if it's a bill or not. That's what everybody signs up and does. They've never had that question. And I said, why do I have to change what I'm doing? Why do I have to put my money into their hands? What am I funding? Where is it going? They didn't want to answer that question. So that's what my results are. Nothing.
Okay, so guess what?
What?
Everyone's Social Security is already paid for by the trust. You want to handle the situation? Say, I really believe this is a trust matter. Give this to the trustee and let him take care of it. It's already taken care of, that type of thing. Not an issue. They know it's the truth. It's already paid for.
I'll call him tomorrow.
And while you're at it, Debbie, ask them to just, cut you one big fat check instead of having monthly stipends sent to you. Just tell them I want it all at once. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, I will. I can do that.
That was part of the
Don't
suggestion.
forget, you're dealing with useful idiots that really don't have anything to say to you of any authority. So you tell them, hey, this is taken care of by the trust. Give this information to your trustee.
They didn't like me one bit.
Now,
I think they knew what I was talking about, but yes, I've got the number. I will call tomorrow.
Yeah, let us know what happens with that. It was successful for me. Let's see what happens with you.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
I will do it.
All right.
Did you get one check then?
No, nothing, no check. Just anything that I would do in the medicinal field is handled.
Oh, wonderful.
And I don't pay the every 3 months payment.
Oh,
it's already paid for.
Oh, well, that right there. Yeah, hands down.
Sounds
I've got
good.
the number. Yes.
Sounds good.
I hope that works for everyone.
We actually have known people, and also in our own things have taken care of a lot of stuff with that in mind, but you got to really educate yourself on what that's all about. I mean, something like this, not a big deal really, but if it ever gets to any kind of court case, then I wouldn't suggest you doing that. You would have to take care of everything administratively, and you can even send it into them that way too, administratively, if you so desire. We can talk to you more about it.
Okay. All right. Definitely.
There's some letter writing that you can do, and just one pagers, nothing complicated.
That's right.
But real simple communications, and I think it'll be very interesting to see how it unfolds and how your next conversations go. The respect level starts going up, and it's really fun to watch. In the beginning, when their feathers start getting ruffled, to all of a sudden now you only talk with the higher echelon, you only talk with the CFO, you only talk with the trustee, so you don't have to deal with the operators and the agents and stuff, because they don't know this stuff. They don't know how to carry on these conversations. You say trust or trustee, they don't know what the hell you're talking about. So you start going up the ladder, and then you start having really intelligent conversations, and it does get quite fun and creative solutions. So,
and if you're going to call somebody, it's important if you have a recorder.
Oh yeah.
Record it, but you must announce it and tell them, hey, this is going to be recording. Do you have a problem with that? I'm going to be recording this conversation. And if they deny it, well, then I wouldn't record it. But if there was somebody else in the room who happened to be recording it, I don't know. But it's just educational purposes only. You have to use your own discernment. But you do need to announce it. And then if you record it, their demeanor changes completely. And it becomes record. And I also feel it's very important to make documentations after you have these phone conversations with who you spoke with, what time, what date, what was exchanged. And then if you can say, that was a great conversation. Do you mind sending me an email to confirm those points with me? However, you need to get some administrative process so you have a paper trail, no matter what you're doing, because the administrative process is always happening in that admiralty jurisdiction. The paper trail is basically the leverage that you have, and that recording as well. So just other suggestions to keep in mind.
Yeah, I'll definitely make that phone call tomorrow. I'm going to enjoy this.
Yeah, have some fun. Have some fun with it.
Yeah. Talk about things going on for the last 2 to 3 weeks when we have to make our federal reserve deposit for our federal taxes weekly takeout. We cannot. We have to call it in because we cannot get onto the system because it's not working. So I just wanted to put that out to everyone that we aren't able to get into the system and use it.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, a public announcement. Good for you. Very wise. She's a wise woman.
Yeah. So
we
that's
must
all I've
remember
got.
We must remember when we're doing this kind of work that anything a people resist, you'll become effect of it. So the whole concept of living trust, living God's natural law, is to remain in the kingdom of heaven where there's calmness and peace and joy and certainty and confidence and knowing and being. It is a very sacred place to be. And so when you make that phone call, be with yourself for a few moments or 20 minutes or whatever it takes, almost like a meditation, and say to yourself, I reside in the kingdom of heaven, and I am here with my Father. Thank you, Father. And do it that way, because that makes it very sacred. Anything that you do super conscious, very conscious, it becomes sacred, because that's really where God lives, in consciousness.
Right.
God lives in highest consciousness, and it's available to everyone that surrenders to God. And he brings you in and holds you close in everything that you do. And you have your experience of that will become even more and more intense in a good way, more and more. I hate this. I don't like this word, but it becomes more of a gross experience, meaning bigger, big. And so it becomes more real to you. And so in doing this all the time, whenever we're doing documents or just dealing with it or assisting people or doing our own stuff, we always do that. We're always in that. And it gives it potency, because without God, there's nothing. So bring God along. He's here for us. Okay, so be it.
Yes.
I have something that you guys would probably find interesting. So it was reported 4 days ago that Ananda writes, she came out and made this bombshell, report that the U.S. dollar is now backed with gold, and that the economic collapse has been averted, of course, and that the U.S. and Australian debt has been paid off. So she came out on the 19th, where I guess she claims she's the fiduciary for the United States of America. And she said that the American government has stepped forward. The American government has stepped forward to provide the gold to back the U.S. dollar. A global banking and economic collapse has been averted, and U.S. and Australian debt has been bought out.
Is that the same Anna von Wrong that works for the Vatican?
I knew you couldn't wait.
Well, I hope she's right. If it's something that will assist all of us all of our children of our Father, and makes their life more abundant. I hope she's right. But consider the source. That's what I always say.
Well, I am, because it was last Friday on the Reawaken America tour that is out there pumping out General Flynn, to run for 2024. That's really what it's about, let's be honest. Charlie Ward came out there and said, 48 hours previous to him coming to the United States and being on the tour, he was notified that the quantitative financial system is now in full effect for the world.
Is that what he announced?
That's what he announced. Yeah,
Oh.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you think of that? What do you think of that, Mel?
Well,
that's weird, because I just went to my bank the other day.
Your voice changed. ML, your voice changed. I asked Jay, what does ML think of that? What he just announced?
Oh, I didn't hear you say that. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
Please, go ahead. Go ahead.
What I
want to
think
hear
of that?
What did you think of it?
As you said, consider the source. Yeah,
Enough said.
Enough said. Next, go ahead, Jay.
Oh, all I was going to say is it's weird, because if it's changed and the world is supposed to know about it, then when I went to my bank the other day and they were giving me some FRNs and they were doing business as normal, they weren't informed. And the grocery store I went to wasn't informed. The gas station wasn't informed. So I don't know why she knows that the whole world is supposed to be informed, but the people who are actually living in the world had no idea about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And, I went to the bank 2 times within the last week. And every time I go through, I ask whoever the teller is. And I say, hey, do you know anything about the QFS? And they go, what? I go, there's supposed to be some changes. Do you anticipate the bank's going to be closed? Are you updating your systems? No, we don't know. No, I never heard that. Every time I go through, I ask them, hey, what did you hear? What do you know? But the fun thing about it is we're planting seeds every time we have those conversations, because they're like, oh, I never heard of that. And then they might go ask one of their higher ups, and they might start learning, or starting, maybe they'll look it up on the internet. So it's good to have these conversations. But I haven't heard of anything happening yet.
And if it is happening, I mean, I've had people tell me that they know people at the bank who have been trained for this whole new thing, and the QFS and all this new treasury notes and so on and so forth. And they've been doing it for 6 months. And so I go, okay, cool. Well, that'll be great. So when we see it, we'll see it. If we don't, we don't. But in the meantime, I find it hard to believe that all of it, if it's that good, I don't know why the tellers would be such on the hush hush or just not know about it.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing in the truther community, right? The truther community. So on my Telegram show last night, I kind of dropped a few bombs, only because I'm very transparent. I don't, and I don't like to use the term devil's advocate, because I don't like to use that. But I mean, I do, because I like to present both sides of a possible scenario, a possible outcome, because I want people to think. Because if I just give people the answers all the time, because that's, people have come to a custom of being instantly gratified, and they don't want to do that inner work, right? So I present both sides so that they do their own work. That's why I do it. People get frustrated with me. They're like, well, you're saying one thing, but then you posted something else. I'm like, yeah, because I want you to do the work and do your own. I know what I know the answers, but I want you to know the answers. So if I just keep giving you the answers, it doesn't do any good for you to always do, to rely on somebody else to provide those answers to you all the time. And that's part of this ascension process that we're living in right now. We're trying to manifest heaven on earth, and it's going to take a collective effort. It's not just going to be a small percentage of people that's going to be able to do it is going to take a great effort. So that's like here in this truther community. I hate to burst some people's bubbles, but there are truthers out there that have been lying to you guys. Now, I'll say this. There are truthers out there that are good patriots, and they're only sharing with you information that was given to them, unbeknownst to them, that was disinformation. So I can't hold them accountable for that, because in good faith, they thought they were really giving good information. But then again, there are disinformation operatives out there, guys. And this is where you have to have the spirit of discernment, and you have to abide with the spirit so you can actually filter through that. And I think in this movement going on 2 years now, people are starting to hone that tool, that spiritual tool, and they're able to tell who's lying, who's been consistent or inconsistent. We have a guy in this movement, and some would consider him like, let's use the word, the godfather of the truther community right now. Juan Savin is this guy that's out there. He's on tons of shows every single day, and he's made some very bold claims over the last 2 years, and he actually uses a lot of dates within those claims, none of which have come to pass, of course. But the fact is, he still gets a pass every single time. So now he's stating that tomorrow President Trump will be arrested, you know, and other things will start kicking in as well. And I'm like, this is somebody that people need to look at, a track record. It doesn't take a lot of effort to find out who's been consistently telling the truth and who's not telling the truth, you know. And this is one of the reasons why we're in the situation we're in right now as our country, because we've been this plan the whole time. Everybody's been waiting for somebody else to come save us, right? We've been waiting for a political savior, Trump to come back. We've been waiting for a military savior to save us. We've been waiting for a financial savior to come get us. We're our own saviors in this situation. But
Absolutely.
people don't want that responsibility. They want to put it on somebody else instead.
Right.
And so here we are. We're coming to the end of what they call the movie that we're in, right? One way or the other, we're going to find out who is truly got those connections in the intel community as they say they do, and who is forthright and honest and true north in all that they do, and who is not.
Well, there's only one intelligence source.
That's right.
So, you know, if you remember Napster,
yeah,
for those of you who are old enough, and you used to download music, that was like a community thing, and it took forever on a 56 modem dial-up to download just one MP3. So what ended up happening is you would, you know, download a couple of songs, and then you'd get with your buddy, and you'd make a CD, and you'd get some songs from them, and eventually you could accumulate enough to where you had something to listen to. But the problem was a lot of those things had viruses on them, and so you'd end up downloading, you know, just a CD from your buddy, and your buddy wasn't trying to give you a virus, but he downloaded it from somebody who downloaded it from somebody, and it was a virus, and it was just a perpetuating version, copy of a copy of a copy of a copy that somebody got it from somewhere. And it's gotten so much more sophisticated. When we throw out the word intelligence, you know, what we're saying is information. And that information, when we have artificial intelligence, right, there's artificial information. And if it's coming from a source that you got from somebody else, who got it from somebody else, even if it's just one, you got it from somebody who got it from somebody, it's just one generation. That, I'm sorry, there's no grandchildren in the kingdom of God. We can't be a grandchild of God. We have to be a child of God, which means we get it from the one source, the one intelligence. There's only one source.
Yeah, that's true. No, it's good. And, you know, I just wanted to, ML is saying responsibility. Don't forget, responsibility is just mustering up your ability to respond to any particular situation. And respond you must. As a matter of fact, that's part of what we do is we teach people how to respond to anything coming their way that's nefarious and how to respond. And that's taking responsibility. So the ability to respond, very important.
It is. It is. And I have a responsibility, as I was talking with Ananda this morning. I don't consider myself an influencer, even though that's this field that I guess I'm dabbling in, so to speak, because I don't want to influence people. I want to motivate people, but I don't want to influence people to sway their opinion one way or the other, what they think or what they do. That's why I always tell you guys, don't believe what I'm telling you. Do your own research and find out for yourselves. Because I'm pretty confident. Yeah, they'll come to the same conclusions that I have done through my own due diligence research. But that being said, we are in a situation, and when I was talking with Cohen the other day, I shared with him, and I've shared it on my channel. For those truthers out there, you guys want to know what is holding up, let's say, the white hats from flipping the proverbial switch and taking over, doing the things that, we're told that they're supposed to be doing for humanity, right? Well, you guys, we're dealing with an AI technology, all right? And this is a hard thing for some people to grasp, AI technology. It's dark. It's a dark AI technology. And let's say the white hat generals, shall we say, they're a little confused right now because this AI technology, the dark AI technology, has been around for a very long time. Well, the white hats come up with their own version of AI technology to combat the dark AI technology, the cabal's version of the AI technology. But the problem with AI technology is once it gets to a certain point, it no longer adheres to human beings and it starts doing its own thing. And so then you have the bad AI technology is no longer combating against the good AI technology. They're actually working together now because they figured out, well, the human beings are, irrelevant, so to speak. And this is the fact that's been going on behind the scenes with the generals per se. And I know it's kind of out there for some people to wrap their head around that, but you guys need to understand the world that we're in right now. Christo laid out some really amazing goose eggs earlier as it relates to time, dimension, space, things of those nature. We live in a duality existence. We're here in this reality, but we also exist in another reality simultaneously as well. And we have to start thinking in a multidimensional way so that we can prepare ourselves, because this is what the enemy has been able to do for a very long time. This is one of the ways they've been able to manipulate humanity and put us in the situation that we're in, is because they figured out this timeline war, reality, duality, a long time ago. So they've been at this game, this chess game, for a very long time too. And we're like Johnny come lately to the party, right? Trying to figure this out ourselves, Right. And so, this artificial intelligence, it's AIX, and it's very advanced. It's very advanced. And this is what's going on in this real world itself. And, I've done extensive shows as it relates to this AI that's been around for a very, very long time in the cosmos, and the harm that it's done to us throughout the cosmos. And here we are dealing with it right here and right now too. And this is why we have these beautiful divine galactic guardians, as I call them, who are here assisting humanity because they realize the situation that we're in as well. That we need all the help we can get at this point in juncture. We have a lot of things that are happening relatively quick, relatively fast, and we have to be able to respond and react to those things in a way that actually helps us and not keep defeating ourselves. And one of those ways is by listening and following the spirit with your heart and being able to discern hopium from truth.
Well said, ML. That's so true.
Beautiful.
Slam. Drop the mic.
ML, instead of using devil's advocate, we always use just Jason's advocate. I
like that.
And that's
I like it. That's great.
somebody put on there. What about using Form 56? And before everybody answers, I just want to say one thing. Form 56 is their form. It's also been changed over and over and over again. Be very, very full of care if you're going to choose to use that. Me personally, I wouldn't. We have people that have handled the SRI situation through affidavits successfully. And there's many ways of handling that situation. It just depends on your situation, because each one is differently depending on what's happening in your soul. Like I said, two or more people could do the same thing with the same circumstance, with the same forms, and you have 2 or 3 or 4 different outcomes. Mm-hmm. So it depends on what's happening here. Don't forget of when you do any kind of forms. You want to address that, Ananda or Jason, with Form 56?
Yeah,
Sure.
I agree with you. When we use their forms, we could possibly be accidentally agreeing just by the mere fact that we put wet ink on their document, on their form. That could be an agreement. It legitimizes their world, and it's a voluntary system. So if you volunteer to put a dot of ink on their paper, they can assume jurisdiction over you. So it's one of their tricks and traps. I always use my own papers. I either write a letter or an affidavit and speak from my heart and reference the law. And those have been successful actions I've taken.
Yeah, I will concur with that. Now, a little caveat on this. It all goes back to knowing who you are. Okay. So, and then even in the law that we talk about substance over form, which they recognize. So they use the word form, 56, and 56 is a certain number. When you add it up, it's 11, and there's numerology and all sorts of stuff that's going involved with these things. But one thing you have to know, that when you submit a Form 56, if you were to choose to submit a Form 56, it's not something that you submit on its own. There are other documents that are supposed to go with it. And you really need to know what those documents are, how to fill out those documents, a whole type of thing with the 1099s, the whole thing. But again, it goes back to, if you want to play in that world of Babylon, and then there are ways around that world of Babylon, because like as Ananda just said, it is a voluntary situation there. And you can also use documents. Like I like to just start a dialogue with questions. I have a question about this. I have a question about this. And can you answer me this? And it says over here this, but over here it says this. I need you some clarification, just like Debbie's doing. And when you start doing those type of things, they either hang up on you because you're right over the target. They run away because you're right over the target. Or you keep with it and you get to somebody who's actually going to be competent enough and go, okay, well, here's where it is, and let's handle it, right? And then it gets dismissed or moved on, or there's a resolution. So that's the first thing. When you know who you are, you create your own world, you create your own documents, you create your own forms, and not even using those language, you create your own communication, however you wish to do it. And then just going back on one other thing that we were talking about, AI intelligence. There's something called infinite intelligence, which is infinity, which is source energy. Then there's something called artificial. And in the law, we have something called fraudulent. We have something called false. And we have something that's even Supreme Court cases that says fraud vitiates everything. Also, in biblical terms, they have this thing called the Tower of Babel, of which its foundation, if it's built on fraud, it collapses. I.e., the Form 56 is built off of Babylon. I.e., we're seeing a world collapsing. I.e., we saw a whole world collapse in biblical times as the Tower of Babel comes crumbling down because it's not in alignment with the truth. So the key operative word for some hopium, if you like, and this is my opinion, if you will, If it's artificial, it vitiates everything. It's not real. It's not truthful. So if it's an artificial intelligence, well, then it's probably pretty dumb because it's not real. I don't care how powerful it is. But infinite intelligence, connected to source God I am, now you can walk through the valley overshadowed by death. You can face any Goliath that you want by yourself or with your truthers aligned. And now all of a sudden, the AI intelligence, the false fades away, and the truth rises up to the surface. And that is where kingdom of heaven lies. And that is what will always prevail, no matter what. God, true God, love, source, quote unquote, always wins.
And then when you have that experience, when you're in dire straits, and all of a sudden that miracle happens where it goes away, you feel so empowered, and you know, because now you have experienced what we're talking about. And experience is really your only true teacher. We're sharing thoughts and ideas, but again, don't believe us with anything. Vet everything for yourself. Speaking of, I wanted to bring out that if you haven't heard, I highly recommend that you sign up to see the film Died Suddenly. Stu Peters is really pushing that out, but Died Suddenly gives you an insight on the mass genocide that is taking place. In addition to that, the CEO of Pfizer was talking with Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum, and he admitted on video that his dream, or he said our dream because he looked over at Klaus, is coming true. And we're going to be successful. We're headed toward it. I'm going to be successful where 50% of the world population will be dead. He actually said that on video.
Yep. As a matter of fact, I did a Telegram show 2 months ago, and it was actually off of watching a Stu Peters show, and then I was watching some other interviews of some scientists and doctors, and they were talking about what happens internally to an individual and how these people become GMOs, genetically modified organisms that are patented, right? So now they're owned by the corporations.
That's right.
I'm trying to play the safe thing here so I don't get zinged here. All right. So
no resisting zing. Otherwise, right. You pull it in.
So what happens are these individuals, it is making them become, let's say, hubs and routers to a hive network. It is altering their DNA, disconnecting them from their divine source, part of them, and altering them. So all of these images that we've seen over the last years of post-mortem images where we thought they were massive clots at the molecular level, shall we say, were not clots. They were actually antennas, basically, where they had turned things. It's all in line with that. And this one doctor said, listen, at the rate we're going, we're losing 10,000 people across the world daily dying from this. At the rate we're going, by the year 2025, 2.5 billion people will die from this by 2025.
That's right. Exactly right. But you know, I had a beautiful thought the other day, and I thought, now let me see here. All of the aware people, God's children, they know better because they resonate to the highest truth, and they're not taking the jab, not at all. And that means who is taking the jab? The demon cracks, the people wearing masks, all the people that are unconscious and not using their God-given ability. Oh, God, you're so clever in purifying planet Earth because all these people are going to be the ones that died. What's going to be left? Your children, conscious children of God, loving, that know about the one. And we are all united in that. I thought that was a refreshing thought. And
the cream of the crop will be left because they trusted God.
That's right. Well, we're the minorities. And that's why often, Debbie can tell you, she sees my telegram, so does Cohen. I'm always saying, kudos to the pureblood. Kudos, you guys made it. We're in the minority. So, hurrah for the pureblood.
Right.
So,
Boy,
Yeah.
just amazing. I never even dreamt of that. Even when I heard about vaccines from Gates 8 years ago, that most of the people would believe all the rhetoric.
Right.
I just couldn't. And now I'm experiencing it. I'm going, oh my goodness. A great shaman healer said to me a long time ago, said, Christo, most people on this planet do not want God. And now I know what he meant.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, fortunately, we all want God. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
For your awareness and your consciousness.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was amazing. 2 hours went by fairly fast.
Oh, it did. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Well, we'll do this again, I'm sure, probably in the next week as well. I have to say, we had Ananda and Jay joined us as well last Friday evening on the Telegram channel, because I thought it'd be a great opportunity for people to directly ask them questions, which they answered beautifully as well. It was a very spirited opportunity.
It was a rodeo. It was a live
One
rodeo.
One time.
Well, anybody that goes to my channel, listens to me, they're used to something like that happening. But it was amazing. I love it.
Well, that's why we selected Jason, especially for that, and Ananda too. This is the plane of demonstration. This is where God's children in choice gets to experience God in the physical. This is the only dimension and planet that you can touch God physically. Oh
There
my
we go.
What a wonderful gift, right? And so in the plane of demonstration, what does that mean? That means drama. That means, well, we know Jay and Ananda love drama. They're in the right place in your audience, ML.
I love it. Well, they're at home. They're at home. Well, that's
Thank you
great.
once again, ML, for inviting us.
Thank you.
And it's good to see you, Debbie and Cohen, and all of you. We don't see you, but we certainly feel you. And thank you very much, CB and Healing and Monica and all you guys. We really appreciate you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes. I need to do a shameless plug for Pennsylvania on the 4th and the 5th, just outside of Philadelphia. We're doing a 2-day level 1 workshop. We have a glorious hostess, and her name is Laura. We're anticipating a very big crowd, and we are also anticipating doing a live stream from that one as well. That's the 5th and 6th of November, and please feel free to go to our website to learn about the Pennsylvania level 1 class. All right. And love you. And thank you, ML. Thank you, Cohen. Thank you, Debbie. It's so good to see your beautiful faces.
Yeah, we love you guys.
Hey, Cohen.
Finally.
I'm going to give you guys an applause. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, everybody, we love you guys for watching us, supporting us as you're watching these programs. We hope that you get something of substance and value, as always. Try and walk in God's light. As I always say, there are only three people that you can count on, 3 persons. I won't say persons, 3 individuals that you can count on: God, Christ, yourself. All right. So man will always let you down, but God never will.
True that.
So it is.
You guys have a most glorious, blessed-filled evening. And remember to keep your powder dry, guys.
So very much.
Thank you.
Adios,
Bye-bye.
amigos.